What's up, world? It's your boy DJ Lokar, aka Tom Siemens, coming straight out of St. John, New Brunswick, all the way across the Pacific Ocean. Sitting here in my crib up in Taipei, Taiwan. We're doing a quick documentary here. We're just gonna let you know that rap is something you do and hip hop is something you live. People live this hip hop thing every day. So if you don't know about it, get to know about it. If you know about it, maybe you'll learn something new. Check it.
Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Rap is something you do. Hip hop is something you live. Rap is something you do. Hip hop is something you.
Rap is something you do. Hip hop is something you live. Quick documentary just about hip hop culture and how it's a lifestyle and the people who live it. And not only that, but how it's gone from a very small movement within New York City in America and has gone across America, across North America, and has taken over the whole world. And, you know, it's every place. It's completely engulfed the whole world. This is being made in Taipei, Taiwan. And we're going to show you examples and people in Taipei and other places who, you know, all embody the hip-hop culture and live a hip-hop lifestyle. And that's everything from music to art to fashion. You know, it's a huge part of everything in the world. So, you know, hip-hop is not just a musical form. It's, you know, a worldwide phenomenon that has taken over many different parts of people's lives, and they live it every day. You know, as we know, hip-hop is something that started in New York City in the 1970s. It's something that, you know, started very simply. It didn't have a grand design. Nobody set out to make it a worldwide, you know, billion-dollar industry. It's just something that happened over time. In the 1970s, you had DJs who moved from Jamaica to New York City, to the Bronx more specifically. And what they would do is they would, you know, throw parties, just DJ. And the person with the biggest sound, the biggest records, you know, they got the most people, they made the most money, had the most fun. So people wanted to, you know, have the big parties. Now what happened to have hip-hop become a new thing and evolve and blow up was that these DJs had dancers showing up to their party. And these dancers, you know, they were called, you know, the break dancer and the, you know, b-boy for short. And the reason they call them that is because, you know, they really liked this part of the record, which would be the first maybe 10, 15 seconds of a record. You know, before the real song would start with all the instruments, it would just be the drums, the breakdown. So what you'd do is you'd have these DJs, and they'd be trying to take this one record, and they'd have two copies, and they'd have two turntables. So they would play the break record, just the drum beat from one, and then play it on the second. And then that way you could take the drum part, the break dancers, the b-boys liked, and you could make that go as long as you wanted. So on one record, you know, you just have the drums, boom boom, ba-dum boom. Switch it over to the next record, boom boom, ba-dum boom, boom boom, and you could just go back and forth from one record to another record, just using a basic mixer. And that's where hip hop got started. You know, people wanting to dance, and the DJ's job, keep people dancing, keep the break dancers happy. So they just prolonged that break record. You know, early DJs like, you know, DJ Kool Herc, Grandmaster Flash, you know, these DJs are the Africa Bambaataa. There's so many that you know, early on started this up and made it what it is today. We're here in a graffiti store in Ximending District in Taipei. We have, you know, a great example of what's used to make graffiti art. Spray cans, markers. You know, up here you got these are what we call caps. Make, you know, fat lines, small lines. And, you know, you just grab a can, and through years and years of practice you get, you know, great at making beautiful art. And, you know, it all started in the 70s. You know, it's the main hip-hop, you know, the aesthetic part of hip-hop. You know, as hip-hop came up, you always had graffiti, and, you know, you got big throw-ups where people use lots of colors, spray paints different things. You know, it started on the, you know, in the streets and on subway cars, rail cars, and then it, you know, it's evolved over time, and that goes along with the culture of tagging. You know, grabbing a marker and tagging all around, and you know, throwing your name up. You know, MC such and such, DJ such and such.
Yeah, as a kid, I like watch movie. And the movie, they always have the gravity on the background. So that's why I really like it, because I like the gravity that people everywhere you can see that. And I start from 17 years old, and to right now I think have 7 years, and I really like it.
For people who don't know, the big thing if you're a graffiti artist is you want to go all city. You want to be all over the city. Everyone knows your name. Your pieces are every place, and everyone knows who you are. So that's the aesthetic part of hip hop, the visual main art that's connected with the graffiti art. A major part of hip hop has always been the fashion, and so we're here in you know, a really nice fashion store. Hip hop through the years has evolved. Now you've got hip hop brands, major rappers lines, Sean John, Rockaware, you know, down to your skateboard influences like Vans. Hasn't always been this way though. You know, first started out, you know, in the 70s and 80s, you had some wild looking dudes with some crazy tight clothes and leather jackets and wild hats, and things changed a lot. Now you've got, you know, it moved from that. Then you had Run DMC with the My Adidas and, you know, tough leather stuff, looking real cool. Then it moved on. You had the, you know, Take It Back to Africa look with, you know, the early 90s cross colors. Then you move on into the late 90s to, you know, mid to late backpacks and Timberland boots, the black hoodies, you know, Biggie Smalls. Then in the late 90s you had the real baggy, shinier clothes, your, you know, the Puff Daddy shiny suit era. Everyone's starting to get money now, so you got the, you know, the bling bling and the gold chains. Then you moved into the throwback years with Cameron, Jay-Z, the fitted hats, and now in modern times, you know, this is a glimpse of what it is, you know. Everyone likes the sneakers. You also got the high fashion has moved into it, you know, the Gucci, you know. Hip hop's always been about stunting and looking good. So, you know, whether that's in something you made yourself, something you pieced together yourself, or looking fly in, you know, Louis Vuitton and Gucci, or a sweatsuit, you always had to look dope and look fly, and that's always been a part of hip hop. You know, in the exploration of the hip hop culture, how people live it, we're here in the underground Taipei Metro Mall. You can see the sign in behind me here, and kids from all over the huge city of Taipei, they come here to dance. It's like a central location where they practice dancing and dance moves. You know, and that's an evolution of what the hip-hop dance style has always been. And the origins of that dance are a big part of hip-hop. So, you know, one of the first aspects of dancing would have been, you know, James Brown, you know, get up on the good foot, just, you know, dancing. But at that time, it was, you know, kind of standing, you know, just getting your vibe on. But then it moved on to later in life, later along the hip-hop timeline, when you had these DJs start playing the breaks, you know, guys, they went from, you know, popping and locking to slowly getting on the floor and doing a lot of the breakdance moves you think of in the 80s, the coffee grinders, your windmills, and really getting on the ground and doing very extremely athletic things that sometimes would often even be dangerous. And those two aspects of the pop and lock, you know, getting on the floor, doing the, you know, the crazy windmills and the things that these guys do that take years and years of practice, you know, that's where hip hop came along up through in the, you know, in the 80s, especially, you know, the mid to late 80s. It got huge after Michael Jackson was moonwalking. Everyone saw that on MTV and it blew up, and that, you know, everybody wanted to do it. You know, as hip hop has evolved along